What's up with you beautiful people again, man? So this is a video that I have been wanting to cover for a while. Actually, me and my buddy was just talking about this like 2 days ago, and I was like, man, I need to go ahead and make a video about that. But I had already had this video wrote down in my notes a while back. I just hadn't got into it yet. But as you can see by the title, man, I like to think a lot of the times I'm a lone wolf. Now here recently, I just got in a relationship. I've been in a relationship for like a month, but we've been talking for probably like about 2-3 months now. But we've officially been in a relationship for a month. So before I was in a relationship, man, I had nothing but time to myself. Like that's all I had was time to myself. I didn't really hang out with a lot of people. I only went to work and I came home. So my mind was it was never really poisoned by any negativity or any toxic ways of thinking, because it was just me by myself. And not saying that my mind is now because I'm in a relationship, but I'm just trying to kind of paint the picture for you guys. So I spent a lot of time with myself. So a lot of people are not comfortable with being alone. That's why you have a lot of people, when you look around and you see so many people in relationships and you talk to these people and you realize that a lot of people that are in relationships, they're really not happy in those relationships. It's almost like I'd rather not be fully happy and be with a person than to be in their minds miserable and be alone, which I think that solitude, a lot of people look at solitude as a weakness, because you hear the whole lone wolf. But the thing is, I think that there's strength in being a lone wolf, I really, truly do. Because it's like when you're alone, a lot of times, right, your mind isn't really clouded by horrible thinking, horrible, mentalities, horrible lifestyles. When you're constantly, like, I'm pretty sure a lot of us can attest to this, right? When I was younger, I ran in a group. For the most part, it was predominantly 3 of us. It was like the 3 Stooges. So it's like majority rule. So if you didn't want to do this, but the other 2 wanted to do it, you kind of went along with it. You know what I mean? Like I said, majority rules. So just like if the other person didn't want to do something, but the other 2 did, you went along with it. That's just how things were at that time, time in our lives. You know what I mean? But a lot of times that's how a lot of people end themselves up in bad situations, because they agreed to something that they should have never agreed with, because it didn't sit right with them, because it wasn't who they are. So you should never let group decisions think for you. So what I always using this analogy right here, right? So take the kingpin, the gang leader. Take the gang leader, right? When you put the gang leader in prison, right? And we all know what prison is, right? So you have prison, and you have prison inside of prison, which is the hole. So when you take a gang leader and you put them in prison in the hole, for those who don't know, you're in the hole 23 hours out of a day. You know what I mean? You probably got an hour out your day that you're outside of your cell. And that includes, depending on the level of prison you at, that includes you going outside to walk, you take a shower and stuff like that. So you might have an hour every day. But predominantly, even that hour that you're out there, you're not around nobody. You're constantly around yourself. The only other people you see are the guards. That's whenever they bring you your food, and that's whenever they come in and moving you to wherever they taking you to, whether it's taking you to the shower or whether they taking you to outside and let you walk around by yourself, right? So you have nothing but time to really reflect on your life choices and decisions. And that's why when you look at a lot of these guys like Monster Cody, Tookie Williams, Larry, all these guys that done extensive time in prison, where they was on solitude, when they was in lockdown, their mind frame started to change now, because it wasn't heavily influenced by what they were involved in, because they were no longer around that now. So now you can start thinking from a more logical and a more man-based mentality, opposed to a boys-based mentality. And the same thing with women, right? So it's like, you look at a lot of those guys, they come out reformed, but it's because you spent that time by yourself. You had nothing but time to spend by yourself, to reflect, but then also really think about, okay, what is it that I really want to do? What do I want to accomplish in this life? What do I really want? What legacy do I want to leave? Or what do I want to be a part of? How do I want to be remembered? So these are all questions that you ask yourself when you by yourself. But when you constantly around people, you're consumed with bull crap. 9 times out of 10, if you're a guy and you're around your homeboys, what are y'all talking about 9 times out of 10? Chasing behind females. If you don't have a relationship, and even if you do got a relationship, a lot of them, they still talking about chasing behind females, talking about doing drugs, whether it's smoking or drinking. I ain't talking about no hard drugs. Some of them are hard drugs. Some of them for the street guys. What are y'all talking about? Fucking, robbing. Things that's just in the long run not productive for you, right? So it's best to isolate yourself. I'm not saying that you have to cut everybody in your life off, but you have to really come to a realization and say to yourself, okay, where is it that I want to go in life? And if this is where you want to go in life, anything that doesn't really benefit that, it needs to be used in moderation. So if you like smoking weed needs to be used in moderation. If your channel isn't based on marijuana, based off the education of it, or based off you just getting high and doing topics, then you don't need it. I just don't think it needs to be something that needs to be used on a day-to-day basis. That's just me. The same thing with drinking. I think that whatever it is you're doing day to day, it needs to be in benefit to what lines up with what you want for your life. You know what I mean? Doing things outside of that is not going to help you achieve those dreams or achieve those goals. But it comes from isolating yourself, man. When if you could talk, I'm 27 years old right now. If you could talk to the 21 or maybe the 20, I would say the 20-year-old me, the 20-year-old me doesn't think and even sound the same. And I know a lot of people say, well, that's a part of maturity. No. Because you got some people who are mature at 20 years old, and you got some people who's 27 years old. They're still more immature than a 20-year-old. You know what I mean? So it comes down to you being a product of what you surround yourself, your environment, so to speak. But me spending so much time by myself, once I removed myself from being around my buddies every day, and I had to come stay down with my grandma, and I had to stay like in the country, and it was just, isolation other than my family, man. I had nothing but time to spend by myself. And what was I doing? I'm on YouTube. I'm looking at Tupac interviews. I'm looking at Nipsey Hussle interviews. I'm looking at all these guys that you hear me reference through conversation. These are all guys that I'm sitting here looking at every day. These were my friends. These were the guys that whenever I was going through something, I went to listen to them. And I tried to find something that might have been going on in their lives and try to correlate it to what's going on in my life, even though it might have been different circumstances, but it was still the same mentality of how to get through it. So a lot of that I developed just from isolation. Had I been around my buddies a lot of time, and you surround yourself with people tend to not tell you what you need, what you need to hear. They tend to tell you what you want to hear. So a person ain't gonna tell you that, hey man, you need to stop drinking and driving because you're gonna end yourself in a lot of trouble. They ain't gonna tell you, oh man, it's good, man. Just that, what I mean, they gonna tell you what you want to hear. They're not gonna tell you that, hey man, I think you need to stop cheating on your girl, man. You got a good girl here. That type of girl you have is wife material. That's hard to come about in today's world. Nah, they gonna keep telling you, man, shit, keep cheating on her. She ain't caught you yet. So they're not gonna tell you the things that you need to that they need to tell you. And then they might think it, but then they might go tell each other or tell somebody else, but they don't never directly tell you. And my thing is this: why would you need those type of people in your life? So you got to ask yourself, look at the people that's in your life, right? Look at the people that's in your life. And I know I'm kind of jumping around, you know what I mean? But it's just when I get to talking, man, sometimes it's just hard for me just to, stay stationary based off of one thing. But it's all correlates to each other as far as being a lone wolf. But look around yourself, right? And ask yourself, which one of these people will tell me if I'm wrong? And if you don't have nobody that can tell you that you're wrong, you need to remove yourself from that crowd. Like I say, don't completely cut them off, especially if it's friends or family. But just as I think drugs and everything else need to be done, just deal with them in moderation. Don't consume yourself. Don't be around them all day, every day. Deal with them in moderation. And that's what it really comes down to, man. But, isolation and being alone, man, it's not a weakness, man. It's really not. I think that you sharpen yourself when you're alone. You sharpen yourself mentally. You sharpen yourself physically. You sharpen yourself in so many aspects of your life when you're alone that you probably would have never sharpened yourself with if you surrounded yourself with the crew, with the pack, with the gang, you know what I mean? And if you do, and some people are blessed enough to have strong units that we gonna hold each other accountable and we gonna tell each other what's real. Some of us are blessed to have that. I don't have that. You know what I mean? So I have to be that for myself. So I have to constantly work on myself. So even with my girl, I love being with my girl. I really do. But I think that it's very good that me and her have time apart. You know what I mean? Because when I have time apart, now I get to, focus and isolate. Okay, Robert, what could I have done better this day? Or what do I need to do moving forward? Kind of just taking inventory on myself. And that's something I haven't been super consistent with. And that's not anything to do with her. But now that I'm knowledgeable about it, I have to become more consistent with it, which is life, man. It's like they say, like my man Charleston White say, you got in life, you have a birth date and you have a death date, right? And you have a dash, and everything that you done or who you are is in that dash, right? So there's a lot of things. It's always a story that we're writing. So we're always going to be you know, it's always going to be new things that we're going to learn. We're going to always have minor setbacks. I always like to use minor setbacks for major comebacks. So it's going to be, you know, down spurts in our life, and there's going to be times in our life where, you know, things happen in a sense. But I just want everybody to be aware and understanding that being a lone wolf is not a weakness, man. It's a strength in that, you know. But like I always tell y'all, man, I ain't gonna talk y'all to death too much in this video. I do look forward to doing longer videos eventually. I want you guys to give me topics on stuff y'all want me to talk about, and I will keep thinking of things accordingly. As soon as they hit my mind, man, I'm coming to film them. Or if I'm feeling frustrated about something, I'm coming on here and I'm filming it. So, you know, we just, you know, being consistent with that. But man, if you did enjoy this video, do me a big favor, man. Smash that thumbs up button. Also, if you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe. When you subscribe, click that post notification bell. That way you be notified on all things Robert Youngblood Jr.'s channel. And I'll see y'all in the next video. Peace.